Is everybody ready to play?
Yep.
I am.
Oh
Indeed.
yeah.
Okay. Last time, I think I'm probably gonna leave it to everybody to um return the information that you had, but to each other. But as of right now, four of the party are in the northwestern. Let me throw you guys onto the world map first.
There we are.
So, four of the party are at the northwestern obelisk cantum, um, where supplies have been coming in. The Redshift is at this point. It will have been 11 days of Redshift before it clears up. Today is the first of Malachus. We're almost through summer. Um, Time passes pretty quickly in the redshift zone, or slowly, depending on your tolerance for sitting around a small camp, not being able to do much all day. Um,
Boring people are bored.
but there's stuff to help out with, especially in a fresh camp, building up the foundations and small buildings that will make up what people will be using to live here for the next several months or a couple of years. Um, Obviously, this is all very temporary accommodations, but at this point, you've all been here for nearly 3 years. And we're only about halfway to that tower, so it could be a little while longer. Um, and Mont Lauren is currently holding, and in fact, I believe he said, um, literally never leaving his hand.
Yeah, I'm not letting go of it until I hand it over.
Good plan.
A shifted unicorn horn has that was imprisoning its unicorn friend um by piercing and puncturing its body with itself, twisting
Fucking
into
wicked.
this
Oh,
spidery,
it was
thorny
awful.
armature.
Might have even moved you, Albus.
Now,
Yeah, Elvis doesn't like seeing people in pain. That's not profitable.
Now, Nimbus has a bag of the rest of the horn. So Montlarin, I believe, is just holding on to like the actual horn, while Nimbus has
Right.
like a sack full of these bits that made up
Yeah,
these
they're little
extrusions.
pieces.
Yeah, that had branched off of the horn, all fractal like. So both of these objects are uh, en route to be delivered to Dex for study. And Dex is currently at Orvis. Now, my assumption, based on how that conversation went, was that you guys are probably going to make your way toward Orvis as soon as you can once the redshift is clear. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was my plan, at least, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Cool. So I think what we're gonna do today is it's a pretty long walk to Orvis. Um, but between like you getting back to Arthur's Tower and then making that southern trek, that's about just counting it out, probably 7 days.
Yep.
Even if the first wave hits during that time, you should be able to make the journey. At the very least, you could get to, in an emergency, you could always stop at Castus, halfway there. But usually, you're walking away from the Redshift. It's usually safe. You can outrun it. Um, so, I think what would make the most sense is if Alvis Taver and Amber Green
5 days
then
would get us to Grandmother's Grove, and then I think it's actually closer from there, isn't it?
Is it?
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Well, it's
So-
one hex closer.
What? Okay, so yeah, 210
But-
versus 204. It is indeed exactly one hex closer.
Yeah. That being said, I guess it comes down to who do we want to visit along the way.
Yeah, that's up to you. I was, unless you guys want to stop for something, I was going to kind of gloss over that because you do have access to, in fact, all of these people through the Obelisk network.
That's true.
Right.
So wherever you end up, you can always chat.
What
with
time
them.
of day is it currently?
Oftentimes, luckily enough, the redshift will wane in the morning. Today it's a little bit late. So you'd probably be getting out of here around 10 in the morning.
Okay.
People kind of
Okay,
waiting
so
around.
as of right this minute, the red shift is still happening.
Well, the redshift will go away as soon as you guys are ready to leave. That's when we'll
All right,
jump to the
so
time
let's
that it goes away.
pretend. Let's
So we can
pretend.
pretend that you've had some conversations in the meantime. You've got 11 days to sit around here.
Well, and I guess what I want to say is that Naya has spent most all of that time in contemplation and meditation. The unicorn encounter moved her deeply. And so she has been very focused in her contemplations on how to facilitate making a mobile obelisk. So she has some questions for Dex, which is why I'm asking, what time is it, and is the redshift over yet? Because if not, then she'd like to get on the horn. Oh, sorry, bad pun. With Dex. I'm sorry. My best ones are unintended. I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's what they all say.
my bad. She'd like to get on the horn. Sorry, on the phone or whatever the fuck it is with Dex to ask some questions that she's got as a result of these contemplations and meditations with regard to creating a mobile obelisk. Now, Dex was also going to be working on that. You know, he had his own kind of thinking and experimenting and contemplations in that regard.
Right. He with the information and hypotheses that you guys came up with last time, Dex pretty much has been forced to look into this more deeply, and specifically, he wants to study that horn because obviously, unicorn horns are powerful objects in their own right. Normally, you can pretty much use a unicorn horn to heal disease, like whenever you want. If a unicorn gives you one, it's really cool.
This one's twisted though.
Yes, it is.
That was intended. Twisted
So-
because it's a unicorn horn.
Right. This one it is.
And this one's extra twisted, maybe entwined. Double twisted.
crooked and it does not look particularly divine, although it does still glitter.
Though Elvis doesn't know anything about this, just for everyone else's sake, though, does it remind them of the teeth, the black tooth, the thing, the dragon tooth? Does it do similar things?
Similar to what?
The talon that you found, or
the
fang, or
talon tooth
whatever.
thing. Yeah.
That is a good question, actually. If you want, you could always take a closer look at the two together. Once you're reunited with the gang.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay, let's note that for just a little bit later.
By the way, sir, I haven't actually applied it yet, but I was gonna take charisma as my ability score increase.
Good call. Okay.
Yep.
Well, you guys leveled?
Just Mount Lauren.
Small Lauren.
Both points in that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're at a 14 right now, right?
Yeah.
Mount Lauren is very balanced, but that'll be very good for you.
Yeah.
Good choice. So yeah. So where are we? Dex wants to study that thing. Based on the theories that you guys have come up with. Now, Naya, assuming you didn't want to wait to talk to him in person, did you have anything specific you wanted to talk about? Because he's at the moment, Dex is pretty much waiting for you guys to get there with your delivery.
Right, and can I assume that Mount Lauren has showed him the horn in its current condition?
Oh yeah, I
via
assume,
the phone.
Yeah, so you can imagine the communication system as like a a sort of magic mirror sort of deal where like this it's not truly a portal, but this visual film will appear before you. And so you're not really just seeing it's not like you're just seeing the person's face who's talking to you, right? You're actually seeing them standing in front of the obelisk wherever they are, and you can see the people around and behind them and stuff like that. You can see and hear everything that's going around them, just like you're there. So
right, it would be just like a voice phone.
Yeah.
I mean,
So if you've got like a unicorn horn,
voice
then
and
you could
picture
just say,
phone.
you could just hold it up and say, "Hey, look, a unicorn horn." And
Right.
again, they're not portals, so you can't just hand it through. But other than that, all the information is there. And yeah, I assume
so
Lauren did that.
You know, it occurs to me that this is a total aside. I apologize for wasting any time on it at all. It just fascinates me. But you could ask Orissa to do things like report how it feels. So you could actually convey slightly more than just sound and visuals.
That's true. Yeah, she can
report
pop
on
out if you can
hardness of your horn.
find wherever she's at.
Yeah, you could ask her to like weigh it in her hands to see if it was hefty.
It comes through Orissa's filters as well. You know, it's like Orissa's filters, whatever they are, left over from her life. It comes through her biases and slants.
Okay, Elvis, I heard you.
Cool. I'm just being perverse.
I know. So yeah, what specifically? What was Naya interested in talking about?
So, in her contemplations, I think there's some foundational ones for Dex that have to do with, must the obelisk touch Earth, touch the ground? Or can it be situated above the ground? That's one question, is must it touch the Earth? The other question is, was there ever a mention in history, either in our encounters with odd historical events or his knowledge or anybody's knowledge of history, was there ever a mention of some kind of a source well or something at Vess, at the tower, at that particular location?
Okay. So those are good questions.
And then there's a
So
third question that
okay.
does he expect a shifted horn to be as powerful as a regular horn, or does he expect or need to compensate for the shifts, the sideways kind of, like power doesn't flow like through the horn like it would if it was pristine. It's shifted, it's all twisty and had him pinned to the ground. What does he expect to get out of a shifted horn besides, lots of experimentation?
He says those are very interesting questions. He has um, at some point produced a stool from off camera uh, to sit here for a little while.
Yeah.
Let me tackle those in order. The obelisks needing to touch the earth is, I would say, not necessarily a requirement, Naya, but
Okay.
um, they are. It is how I have built the system. This is one of the things I think perhaps might be possible to even in my original work. I thought might be possible to refine and perhaps do away with, but thus far had not been necessary. I managed to pursue this path and perfect the ground based obelisk. Now, if you're talking about something suspended, um, that's a little bit easier. It's sort of the same concept, even the singular point in space. Um, if you're talking about something, for example, wearable, um, or even one that you could carry around in a wagon, uh, these things I have thought about and I have pursued. Who
And
it's I can't say as far as I have as far as I can because that isn't true. There's always further you could go, right? Um, but I think the gist of it is that it's a different equation um for each one. The qualities that make an obelisk would not transfer between a stationary one and a mobile one. Most of them wouldn't anyway.
so, wait just a second. Let me make sure I understand that part of the challenge here is that each obelisk is actually unique rather than the same recipe formulated over and over and over.
Not quite. They are the same. There are some unique bits, which is why
Okay.
I cannot simply give you all a checklist of how to do it. I
Okay.
think only only Van and myself so far have studied them closely enough to make a new one. It's you've had some interaction with teleportation circles. It's sort of a similar concept. How each teleportation circle has a unique sequence of sigils that indicate its location in space. Um, even if you get into loftier magic, even within the planes, what one could uh, jump to a different plane's teleportation circle if they knew it. And all of that information is coded into the circle specifically. So you need to know what you're doing when you make one. When you're making a permanent one, that is, um, to codify that in place. And
Okay, so can I interject with
yeah,
the perspective that I'm specifically working with.
Yeah. This is
Mobile
this is a conversation.
obelisk. Mobile obelisk.
Right.
What I'm looking at is if it needs to touch the ground, we can put it in a cart and then drop it out of the inside of the cart onto the ground. We can figure out a way to drop it gently.
Right, to
Have
lower
the
it
bottom
till it touches.
right, so that the bottom, like a hatch door, drops out of the cart, and the obelisk is gently suspended until it touches the ground, wherever that ground may be.
You could also just form the bottom to the bottom of the obelisk to be like what do you call that thing that attaches to a plow? It could be a plow. You dig
Well,
the earth.
that's what I was looking at. The cart can be pretty easily, I think, configured to carry an obelisk, even if the obelisk is on its side when it's being carried. And then we just figure out a way to camouflage the cart, and it will slow us down. But we could theoretically create a small force field of safety around the cart. And then we could travel into Vess and the blocked off territory because we have a mobile obelisk. That is my current theory crafting on how to make this work.
Now,
But
there is a part 2 to
Okay.
this. Now, yeah. Say you had say I was sitting in a wagon and every night we stop and I take a few hours to define these sigils that are this particular location on our plane and apply them to the obelisk. Firstly, these things are, not to say we can't reuse them by any means, but they are semi-permanent in that those sigils are engraved on the material. So we would
what
need to find some way
engraved
to,
on what material?
the onyx and the mithril that make up
Okay.
the full obelisk.
I see. So we would need some way that they would be able to kind of change in real time on the surface itself to compensate for the, changes in direction, closeness to the ley line.
And location.
Exactly, and what
Okay.
Nimbus said about the ley lines is the second piece. Such that these obelisks are powered by batteries that we have, but their potency is derived from their proximity to the natural flow of magic in the area. You may have noticed that the obelisk at Orvis, for example, has a much larger radius than the one at Aris's Tower, or even especially the one at Castus, which is even smaller. Um, Perhaps I don't know who built Orvis. Perhaps by coincidence, but I would say more likely through uh, some natural mortal desire or knowledge to be form a major city near a ley line. And likewise with Fort Maricus. These right now are the two closest places we have to ley lines. Vansfort as well. He and I, when we established Maricus and his northern fort, we specifically sought out points that were, yes, close to the border, easy enough to get to, but also very close to these powerful rivers of magic. Now, if you were traveling landward, northeast, and you were far away from one of these points of magic, your obelisk's power might be relatively small. That isn't to say it wouldn't protect you. It could, but I honestly don't know how effective it would be at a certain distance away.
I should clarify. I am looking at protecting those in the cart with the obelisk, and that's all.
That
I mean, and a
Yes.
radius of not more than 10 feet. Maybe 12. I mean, that would be lovely. But literally, we are all thrown into the cart to be with the obelisk, and we can travel then wherever, whenever, in order to get to Vess. And Vess does not want us there, which tells me that our obelisk, your obelisk magic, what you made happen was a determination of reality that Vess does not want to have happen. Vess has put up boundaries to prevent any of us, anything, anytime, anywhere, from getting through to whatever it is guarding. So something is guarding the tower at Vess and generating the redshift to make sure that happens and continues. But if we can go forward with a mobile obelisk, then we are protected against the redshift and can keep moving, even if it's just a 10-foot radius. That's all we need. Am I making sense?
You are making sense.
Okay.
And really, it is the they work too hard by trying to do too much. Maybe.
That's an interesting statement, though.
It is the mobility that is the problem.
Right. That's why I'm specifically looking at what can we do to make mobility work for a very small range.
There was some way to make a one that would react to where you were or your intent.
Can it react to something else like us?
Maybe we could carry a paired object.
Right. Can we carry something
attuned, maybe.
else? Can we attune something else and make sure it stays in the cart? We are going to be lugging around this huge thing, comparatively, and then doing whatever we have to do to make it work. But this way we can kind of creep, and it would be a creep. There's no fast travel on this kind of thing.
That's
But
why I was kind
we
of
could
thinking of
creep
plow.
towards the tower.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking of something like a plow, because, though it would still be somewhat complex magic, at least you're staying in the ground. You know what I mean?
Right, but we
So-
don't know if ground isn't that important. I mean, I thought maybe ground was
Grounded
imperative.
is grounded.
But if ground is not imperative and it can be attuned to something else, then we can stay on the move and not have to stop for a week to 10 days or 2 weeks or however long the redshift lasts, every
moves.
week or two.
Yeah, no, a plow is moving.
Yeah, a plow. Okay, so I think the idea of it staying in contact with the ground is interesting, but I think even a sled could accomplish that, and we would move a lot faster.
Sledge, yes.
However,
We also leave a groove in the ground behind us.
We would.
Right.
I'm trying to make sure that we stay a little bit camouflaged.
Right. I don't think we need to do that. Like if that, I mean that's something Decus will have to figure out. But assuming that even if it needs to touch the ground, it only needs to touch the ground while it's active. Let's remember that it only needs to be active during a redshift. So between redshifts, we should be able to pull up stakes and move it. Assuming that doesn't interfere with the magic itself, of course.
And between the things that we all have, that are different, whether it's water walking or the thing that Nimbus can do, that's a
tiny hut, right?
The tiny hut, but also the other thing that floats, whatever it's called.
Oh, tensors, totally.
Right, and then Montlaren's got a thing that he can do with that Mountie. And between all of us, we can be mobile. We can move something. So now
Right.
it's a question of, can we get the obelisk to move with us?
Yes, there's,
But
there's
as a-
no doubt in my mind that you all could navigate an obelisk across the countryside. It is a I hmm um
Yeah.
I need to put more work into it, and I need to perhaps perhaps there's a way we can set up some kind of experiment around Orvis. I could
So with regard to my second
set some
question, do we have
devices on
any
a track or
historical
something.
knowledge of this and something like I am calling it a source well, for lack of a better terminology, some kind of a
Well,
source of energy? Do we have anything?
um,
Anything in history?
yes, well, they did build a star tower at that location. Um, and there are only a few of those on the continent, but wherever you find them, um, and nowadays, we don't know how to build them anymore. Sad to say. Um, but what we do know is that building them required high magic rituals that the instructions for which have lost with been lost with their architects, and failed to pass down, to today. Perhaps they're still out there somewhere. It is many a scholar's dream to find somebody who still knows how, or uh, the notebook of a 5,000-year-old wizard. Um, but to the point, one of those would only be built in a location that is already prime for magic users to live. Um, so I think that alone tells us that Vess, yes, would be a font of high magic. I think we'll find that when we get there.
Sorry, I was chewing.
That's fine.
All
And
right,
then
so
what was question
what
3?
what I'm
Or
what I'm
do you have
looking
more?
at with regard to the question about a source well, source, we have known two extremely, extraordinarily powerful beings who were able to stave off the redshift for hundreds of years, if not 1,000 years. That is grandmother and the unicorn.
Yes.
And in the end, both of them succumbed to injuries from the redshift because their energy ran out. This is
But
a relatively simple matter of running out of energy. That is why I am asking about any history, any knowledge, any rumors or legends of some kind of a source well or a source of endless energy invests at the tower.
do you think
Because
perhaps
we're
we could
talking about
tap
a
into that?
redshift that has happened for thousands of years without stopping.
1,000, yes.
Okay, 1,000 years without stopping and without shifting or changing in power or import, which
Yes,
suggests
it's
that
hard,
there
you
is
know.
more power. Now, the unicorn's teaching to us was very different. It requires us to think differently, to reverse our normal linear logical thinking, and to flip everything that we know kind of on its head and think of things in terms of reality versus unreality. Because what he said is coming from Vess, the tower, is unreality. All the results that we see in the world are the function of unreality, or what I might call chaos. There's no structure, there's no order. It is just a chaotic unreality. And what Montlarin has posted here is quite brilliant in terms of the warning to not complicate it further. Because this is so unusual for us to think in terms of reversing our normal linear thinking. We literally have to turn things upside down and think in terms of reality versus unreality. And right now, our obelisk enforces reality, which is why anyone in the sphere of influence of the obelisk is able to not be affected by it.
Correct.
That insistence on reality is what we are looking to transport. How do we fucking insist?
Right.
Yeah, like you don't understand. I insist.
Right. And if we can't do that, then is there some other way to accomplish the same result? Which is really my whole point about the stick diverting the flow of water, right? Like, if it's impossible to do the Moses thing and part the waters entirely, can we at least slip by?
What I'm kind of wondering about is if we've got the next closest place that's somewhere, within a reasonable range of the tower that we're able to plump down and set up a base, to be able to set up a second obelisk that's shaped entirely differently, just different, that would have about the same area of same volume obelisk, but instead fires out to the base of the tower as a way to kind of create a theme of disruption that can start interfering with it, potentially sap the energy away from it.
Potentially, if we catch it while it's small enough, stop it from expanding altogether. Yes, I like the way you're thinking there.
That's an interesting perspective. I
See
was
if that's
looking from
I
a
think that one
different
we'll have to wait
perspective.
until we get there, but it's certainly worth making a blueprint for, at least the idea we can write down.
I have to say, Naya, I do have shooting things on my mind. So
Sure.
I was
And
thinking,
I understand that it probably requires a wizard, which means you, to operate some of these things if we actually are able to go and take it on the road.
Yeah, I think I understand most of the concepts pretty well at this point. We've been spending enough time. I've been kind of looking over things and asking all the important questions. I could probably just about set up myself a little bit of this.
All right, well, that's between you and Dex, but
Yes,
what I was looking at is enabling a group of 6 of us, maybe 8 at the most, traveling on a cart,
right,
probably pulled by Bet Mountie. I mean, using the things that we know how to do that are simple and effective, and heading east and getting to that damn tower, come hell or high water, and regardless of everything that it throws at us about you shall not pass. And we're like, oh yeah? Oh yeah.
We're gonna do it with our Redshift Winnebago.
That's right. So Redshift
I-
Winnebago is the plan. I love it.
Final note on that one for now.
I have a worry about overextending with that plan.
I think we may be of the same mind, Orvis Taver, who is, I assume, like hopping on Dex's shoulder at this point.
Yeah. If we're the aces, then I don't know. I don't feel pretty ace by myself, but if we are the aces, then we have to look up to the advice of our seniors.
We just need a tour bus.
Well, it's not so much that. Far be it from me to stop you all from spearheading anything. But the worry that, well, to put it simply, we know we can defend our own obelisk here, and worst come to worst, we can retreat if we need to. Fort Maricus was very near the border. We could get back over that river in a day if we had to, and everything else is within hiking distance of another obelisk at the moment. Um, if you all go a week out deep in the Redshift, it begins, and you have to outrun it for some reason. If something happens to your mobile obelisk, should you have one, um, obviously this is a concern everywhere. If anything happened to the obelisk mid Redshift, we'd all be dead. And for that reason, everyone who's part of this commission is very much insane, as I've said before. But
Please
myself
don't go
most-
all government on me.
myself most of all. What
Says the druid.
Yeah, well, she's
listen,
she's
I
out
have
there
to
in a way that you are not, Albus.
I have to think about these things.
I know you do,
It's okay
but-
if you don't, but I do.
I understand that you have to look at these things, but I'm coming from a perspective that is a bit more undercover. I just want to make it work.
I
There's
agree.
no way in hell, given the current circumstances, that we are going to be able to take the tower. There's no way. We are not strong enough, we are not powerful enough, and we do not have the unlimited energy resources that the tower does, apparently, to generate a redshift every 10 days or so. That
You-
lasts for a week.
So
We don't have that.
You don't believe that we'll be able to, with our, let's say, current strategy, even get there?
No, I don't. Honestly, we're going to
Why?
have to push through or go undercover or something to be able to survive. Otherwise, we have to constantly, it'll just be slower. It'll just be a lot slower.
It
We
will
go,
be
we
slow.
find a place like Jose. Maybe we can finally break the damn glass wall, get in there, make an obelisk center, and we have a new hub, and we just keep pushing east and pushing east and pushing east. And, maybe 3 or 4 years from now, we'll actually get to the tower.
That sounds wonderful. I love that plan.
I would like it to take less time than 4 years.
Would there wasn't a dragon and his children in our way, but
I am not even worried about the dragon and the children.
honestly,
The dragon.
I think that's been
I
what's
am far
slowing
more
us
worried
down
about the
lately, but-
redshift.
I
And the lesson that we got from the unicorn about somehow insisting that we impose reality on unreality in order to keep our world. That is a powerful lesson. And we need to not discard it.
No, I've never talked to a unicorn myself. That's
Well, just imagine talking to a celestial being who has eons
oh
of
no,
time
I'm
to
considering it.
consider
I'm
all
I'm
these
jealous.
things. And, it's like they have a different perspective than we do with our measly single life, But so he gave us the benefit of everything that he had seen and was guessing with regard to how the redshift worked. He has survived it, sitting there pinned to the ground with a twisted horn for hundreds, thousands of years, maybe. I mean,
1,000 years.
Montlarn,
right.
you're talking to an old man who had his heart nearly zapped out of him not a month ago, and telling him you want to make a new redshift. I understand what you mean, but please think about my health first.
I'm not really on board with creating another redshift, to be honest.
It's not that
But-
it's not my point, to be clear, right? Like
No, I
the
understand.
thing that the unicorn was saying is that it's about the manipulation of reality, which in a way is about belief, right? Like
yes,
if you can impose a strong enough will, you can alter what's in front of you, and that's what the magic of the redshift is, effectively. I'm super dumbing this shit down because, I don't know what the fuck's really going on. But
No, but that's correct. That is
if we could-
correct.
if we could do the same thing on a small scale, focus, the equivalent of our will on a piece of that glass and just deny that it's fucking there at all, it might go away.
Yeah, okay, but a couple of
It might.
questions, like where does it go? There is no away. There's no away in the whole universe.
I'm not saying
Well,
banishing it. I'm saying it doesn't fucking exist, and we should stop pretending like it does so that it's not there.
I agreed with Montlaurent
Matter
here.
would
Where did it
can
come from?
disappear.
Is the first question that you should ask in response to that, Naya. If we're saying where is it going to go, where did it come from in the first? That's a large amount of glass.
Yeah.
What could come from the elemental plane of glass?
There is no elemental plane of glass.
No, not quite.
No?
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe somewhere out there.
There is a place where the elemental planes of earth and fire converge, and there's a lot of glass, but it is not the elemental.
It's probably much more fire and sand. Fire and sand makes glass. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
so that would be elemental plane full of glass.
Elemental plane of earth has plenty of sand in it. Believe me, I've heard many a story. I believe that is in fact the area where it can sometimes be adjacent to
yes. Normally, I think they call it magma and such in that meta region, but I'm sure you can find some glass there. Perhaps it is. I am not a huge expert on the planes, so I could be correct. Anyway, yes, Montlaurent, you were able to. You said assert your will on the unicorn.
Yeah, I wasn't up to the task, but I did see some effect.
But we've not been able to do anything like that before. Maybe it's for lack of trying, but I suppose to a certain degree you could call any mage who uses magic to be asserting their will on reality, and maybe in the end that's all it is, and perhaps what you were doing was simply inventing a new type of spell that nobody's ever cast before. But if that's all there is to it, then long story heavily oversimplified, that's all there is to it. Just casting a magic spell. Right?
I don't know enough to know how it works, but I feel like
the difference between natural and supernatural is a stuff for philosophers, not for us. But it might be something worth thinking about if we're talking about enforcing our wills on the cosmos here. Then is it a matter of, no offense, Montlaurent, but is it a matter of you didn't want it hard enough? Or is it a matter of you just didn't have enough power? Or is it a matter of you just did it wrong?
I wish I knew. I felt like I didn't have enough power.
Right, and that was the conversation that you had with the unicorn afterwards. The unicorn said there was some relief, and you could see that a few bits of the broken horn were coming off, But ultimately, it seemed like it was a matter of not enough power. that is what has been kind of the source of my questions is where do we get more power? Where do we get an unlimited supply? And is that what we're really battling with regard to the Tower at Vess?
We should bookmark this moment because this is the part where we become supervillains and destroy this universe.
I was about to say, you're
Okay,
really starting to
what?
sound like
Wait a minute,
some
I'm
of my
not, I'm
patrons.
not on board with that.
You're the one seeking unlimited power.
No, I am the one
Yeah,
seeking enough power to undo unreality.
Have you heard
Now, does
fine
that mean
tales
I
of
want to impose my
wisdom
reality
and
on
battle
Vess? Yes, it does.
I'm just saying I'm on board. I've read the story a few times. Is all I'm saying.
But
Sounds like my game.
it's like I would like to see some sanity invest. I would like to see some of our reality invest that has room for non-chaotic interaction. It doesn't involve killing or manipulating or
I'm not gonna
somehow
lie.
wrecking
My
people.
ambitions, yeah, my ambitions at this point lie in saving our friends from the past. That's how much I want to change reality.
And I so much at this point pray for another interaction with our friends from the past, like 2 or 3, so we can get more info.
I think we'll see them again at Vragan.
I hope so.
I believe that was one of the 2 places in the heading that, if I remember correctly, they wanted. Go ahead.
Sorry, Lauren, you're a little echoey at the moment.
Sorry, I just realized I didn't have my mic extended.
Oh, there we
I
go.
was, yeah, I was gonna say the other one was like Alsane or something like that, right?
Alsanes, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Alsanes
further
was
inland,
a
isn't it?
notable destination. Last time you met them at Shosei, it sounded like they were, from your memory, getting a little sidetracked, when they were involved with helping out the princess.
Give my love to the princesses.
Right,
What
they
was
were
that?
even arguing about.
Yeah, they were.
So we would need to be able to get through at Shosei or go around at Vraybast. Want to get to
Right.
Alsanes.
Or maybe somewhere else. I'm not leaving unopened a possibility of a third way. But
The third way would be
somehow,
going around from the south with a boat.
Yeah, that's
maybe,
definitely a
but we don't know
possibility.
how far it goes around. I mean, we just don't know how far we can actually get. So
Well, I don't
whether it's
think that's
north,
viable.
south, or straight through at Shosei, getting the idea being that we get through somehow. And then we have to establish probably another obelisk at Shosei. And then from there, it's just more of the same, and we'll create more outposts and forts and stuff like that. Or if we can figure out a way to make the obelisk, our obelisk, portable, mobile, then we can travel no matter what. And we can get in to Vess when they are not expecting us.
You know,
That has appeal.
if we're 100% on this reality unreality thing, hypothetically putting up an obelisk right at the edge of the glass should just give us a hole through it.
I'm kind of hoping that's the case, to be honest.
Are you willing to risk an obelisk on it? I mean, if not, we can move it and deploy it elsewhere.
Lucent has been rather vocal about the idea of moving into Shosei as a potential site.
Yeah, she
it
does
seems
seem to like the idea.
It seems like a good place, even with the wall. There's a certain level of fortification there. However, what we've seen so far is that in the cases where something is shifted and you bring it into proximity of an obelisk, it does not unshift, obviously. It's hard to say if turning on an obelisk adjacent to a shifted object would unshift it. the the obelisk maintains what is currently there, and my small understanding of what the redshift does to things is well, as as beautifully poetic as Montlarin might put it, that glass wall is there. You, no matter how much you believe it isn't, if you walk into it, you will bump into it and bump your nose. Um, that isn't to say I don't think we might be able to reject that. Um, but as your unicorn friend mentioned, that we might not have the right tool for the job yet. We have we have a shield, and what you are asking for is a sword, and I don't know how to make a sword.
Yeah, but
But
sometimes a shield is as effective as a sword.
metaphors.
Very useful metaphor.
Uh, point being, I would like to learn how to make a sword because I would like it if you could cut through whatever is in your way and simply go. If we had been able to do that from the start, that would have made things a lot simpler. Although, I don't know. I think the way we've been doing things has been a little bit safer. But if that's what you want to happen, then um, I suppose you're doing a good job enforcing your will upon me. I need to look into this. I need to work on this. I need you to understand that I'm not going to be able to give you something next week. Um,
Oh no,
but
I
I
would
do want
imagine
to.
this would take months.
I do want to put a focus on this, and you've given me a lot of useful things to think about. That um, you've given me a unique perspective on it. Um, and I can't say that anything you said is impossible. So we just have to try and see if it is. Um, yes, if you're planning on bringing that over here, I will be ready to accept it, and I'll make sure to keep it out of Alpha Staver's paws.
I
While
don't want it.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Um,
I don't want anything.
in the meantime, perhaps what I'll do is ask Smithy if he can build us some kind of small cart track round a road or round a block in Orvis or something. We can experiment with a mobile obelisk sort of thing if I ever figure anything out.
I wonder if we could use a similar design to the body of the thing I want to make for my familiar. Since they're both like mobile
Well, tracks there.
focuses of arcane energy. I don't know.
Maybe Smithy can pull off something similar to what he's already got with his Gabora, something with legs.
Yeah. All I'm saying is like I see an opportunity where we could reuse the wheel.
Oh yeah. Naya, what was your third question again?
Have we given some thought to the status of the horn as being more or less powerful now that it's been shifted versus a regular horn? I mean, I know we're all operating blind in that sense, but
Yes, I'm going to
in
have
a
to.
unicorn horn is renowned for it being straight, which is why it's used so often as a focus device.
Yes, and
It's not enough.
I have had the good fortune of being able to use some unicorn horn powder firsthand. Although that's very different from using a full, complete horn gifted by one. Um, so no, no, not like people do. People don't do that, do they?
Yeah, all the time. You've never seen snuff boxes full of unicorn horn dust?
You come from a very odd place.
What do you mean I come from an odd place?
You do.
I come from underground. Where do you come from?
Above ground.
The Silver
Fucking
Coast.
weird.
I mean, I shouldn't be surprised.
There's an
Uh,
entire
uh,
coast of silver.
Not necessarily, but
How do they keep people from staking all the silver? Is it really like that much silver?
Okay, I'm just going to tell you, Alvis Taver, that people who keep good company don't snort unicorn dust. That's not. I don't think there are many unicorns who would
Kind of profane.
like.
Are you saying I don't keep good company? I mean, like I don't know them, but I'm like, what are you trying to say?
It's pretty profane. Yeah. Yes.
What do you mean profane? You were just talking about using it as medicine. It's clearly what they were doing. I mean, why else would they be snorting it?
You know what? On my standing as a scholar, I cannot make an assumption about whether you're right or wrong.
And I mean,
So
what if they forced you to snort it too? Now you're calling those people bad.
Are you saying that you've snorted unicorn horn, Elvis Tower?
I mean, you haven't?
I don't know how to say this without being mean, my friend, but good people don't do that.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Thinking
just-
about it, where you come from, Montlairn, that'd probably be sacrilege, wouldn't it?
I mean,
Oh,
it was
that's-
just.
It's definitely
You don't-
sacrilege where I come from.
Well, wait. But I also know that there are some weird elven families that are all like, if your upper like says to drink this thing or do this thing, if you deny them, like you're super rude. You're terrible. I had no choice.
yeah, if you were coerced into it, you really shouldn't be staying with people who are coercing you to take strange substances. But-
You know that's probably all bad unicorn horns that were taken forcibly, right?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't think anybody that would be granted a unicorn horn be given the blessing to, oh yeah, just take my sacred horn
And kill me, by the way,
yeah.
because if you take my horn, I will die.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I've never talked to a unicorn.
It's above my
Ah.
pay grade, maybe.
Well, you missed out. Anyway, enough chatter on the uses of the unicorn. Now, we can discuss this further when we've got everything together.
Yes, I would like to study it in person, and I cannot imagine that such a device has lost its shall we say strength by shifting. Um,
Right, but
I'm
in the
actually
ways that it is traditionally used, it may be impossible to use it that way now.
Oh, well, that's exactly what I'm kind of hoping is that from all the time spent trying to use their magic to protect the glade, that it's now finally adapted and attuned to resisting and protecting against Redshift. In fact, I wonder uh, if somehow we were able to hook up one of the batteries, one of the power sources to it, if it'd be able to remove the Redshift corruption entirely off a creature or an area.
well, that was certainly one of my first intentions. I think perhaps what I'll do is use that bag of um, bits uh, that you have, and then if we find some use for this horn on its own, then the horn would be our focus, we'll say. Um, so let's go with that. Can't really reliably speak further on it till I have a closer
Okay.
look at it. So, um, if you're heading back to Orvis, then I'll see you here.
Yep, that's the plan. We're still early here, so we're heading out soon once we've got all of our supplies together.
Excellent. I will tell Lucent you're on your way, and I'm sure we should have or well, no, it's Redshift is just about to end, so uh he'll just say, be safe out there. You know, we've covered a lot of ground lately, but you know, uh dangerous lands.
Yep. By the way, if you could pass it along to whoever handles all the messages, I think I should be getting this. So please get it delivered, Orvis, if possible.
Oh, sure thing. Okay, we'll keep an eye out for it.
Thank you. All right. Well then, um, be in a week or so. We're gonna be getting ready here.
Okay. Um yeah, so as soon as you guys are ready, I mean, I think what we're basically going to do is send you down to Orvis over the span of one redshift waning, and then you'll be at Orvis to wait it out for another week.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds right.
You want any encounter rolls or anything, or we'll just poof over?
I think today we'll poof. You're mostly going to be traveling through safe territory anyway, um, so I don't think it would be necessary at the moment. Um, So unless anybody has any complaints, uh, we can get you guys moving.
Word.
Yeah. No, I think get our 3 rations or whatever. I don't know that we're gonna necessarily need them because we're gonna meet up
Yeah,
on the Cyber and
this is
Amber.
going to be a hop and a jump through several checkpoints.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah. Oh, and I don't think it matters for anybody here, but if anybody hasn't clicked the long rest button since last time, you can do so, and then we can go.
All right. Character stuff.
Hop and hop. All right, here we are back at Orvis.
Right, that's a map I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, it has been a while since Orvis, but I think we're actually going to stay out here for a little bit on the world map just in case you guys want to look around. I think you all already know what Orvis looks like, so you know. You arrive. Ambergreen and Alvis Taver are here, along with most everybody else.
Oh, hello.
Have you been keeping everyone entertained with your music along the way?
Well, while I was waiting for you guys, yeah.
Yeah, Ambergreen and Alvis Taver had left the tower with around the same time Lucent did.
Yeah, but they
Um,
don't have any fast travel. The entire rest of the party that has all the fast travel.
Oh, I mean they had done this while you guys were talking to the unicorn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've not been with you this whole time.
Gotcha.
Um, so so back you are, and Mount Lauren. I'm guessing it's uh first thing you do is hand that shit over.
Oh yeah, no question.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, Dex is for what it's worth, looking healthy. He seems to have recovered from his bout with that magic trap rather nicely, and takes. I'm assuming you've just been holding this thing. You've not been like carefully gloving it.
Correct.
Yeah. So he just takes it and he, um, it doesn't need to be held delicately, but that is how he holds it, and he says, "Uh, all right then. This is oh, it sparkles. I've done some thinking on what you've all been talking about, and
Are you speaking as Dex?
yeah,
Okay.
I had a chat with Arisa as well, with grandmother because I thought perhaps she would have some insight into this reality thing. Um, Arisa and I are kind of on the same page. Grandmother said, and you can always ask her if you want your share of the details, but she told me that when it came to her defying the Redshift, for her it was always about, well, she didn't prevent it, right? She
Right.
took creatures that had been afflicted and um, took that affliction unto herself, and uh, because I think this is partly my own conjecture, but because I think the sorts of creatures that she was protecting were less virulently affected than you and I might be, from what we know. Um, I think that had a hand in how long she was able to last these past 1,000 years. Um, I doubt, and from what she says, she does too, that she would have been able to do it too much longer. So I suppose it's a good thing that we found her when we did. Uh, but she says that's really all there was to it. She wanted to protect her grove and the creatures in it. And
So her motivation is the same as the unicorns.
let's
He wanted to protect his grove and the creatures in it. Just different methodologies.
yeah. Anyway, I have some thoughts about all of that, and uh, if you have that bag of bits, then I suppose tonight I'll get to work on studying. And my intention is to attempt to enforce my own will on one of these pieces. Perhaps I can turn it into a pretzel or something. Um, if I can do that, then perhaps we could do anything. Um, I'm going to examine it closely, though, see if I can identify its properties, what value or what use we might be able to get out of it, what particular sorts of magics I can channel through it effectively or ineffectively. Um, there's also sorts of things I can do to it first before we even try to resort to pure force of will.
Honestly, I don't think you'll be alone for that. I definitely plan to assist and kind of contemplate along with you with this for the duration that we're here. Otherwise, I would imagine and you both want to join in as well.
Yep.
Well,
It's a
well,
different
yeah.
kind of magic than I know, so it's not familiar to me. But however, I can be useful for sure.
Every perspective is going to be helpful with. We're treading very interesting territory.
well, we'll have a crowded workshop. You're all welcome, obviously. I can't promise it won't be boring, though. But I do take rather detailed notes. Um, what are- what have these two been going on about?
We were talking about unicorn horns.
That's
And
fine.
I like the staring shifty, the staring sidelong.
Alpha Stabber almost said something.
Yeah, that was
Um,
funny, man.
So if the group is going to be working with Dex during the span of this redshift on this form, is there anything else that would like to be reviewed before we get into that?
Last session, didn't Deca say that he had business with Alvis Tabber?
Yes, and this would have been something that they went over independently while you guys were busy.
Wait.
So, Alvastabber, you mentioned this at the start of the session, but you had some interest in that spike.
Spike Talon?
Spike Talon Fang.
Yeah, absolutely. more so as a focus of energy. Decus would be well aware of my attempts to bring about more mobility and capability to Keen.
Okay.
I was definitely wondering if this is one of those kinds of objects that would definitely help Keen. What was the word? I had a good word before. Make Keen's energy more physical. So, like, the way Alvis Tavern sees it is that he has a focus to run energy through into Keen, right, with the glove mechanism that he wants to make with Smitty and the salamander heart, or the salamander fire, or whatever it was.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to have a flashback to about a week and a half ago when you and Dex met up back at Orvis, and you. Well, how did you introduce this desire and concept to him?
Well, I know he had already taken it a little while ago to study it a bit. And then Alvis Tavern gave him time for that. But then Alvis Tavern got an idea specifically having to do with, like, the elemental nature, feng shui, whatever word this world would use, of Alvis and Keen in particular, how they're kind of sort of goopy. I don't want to say rotten. I wouldn't say like adjectives like that, but oily, maybe on the darker side.
Okay. So let me
Alvis Tavern figures that this talon would be more like a body, whereas the salamander heart is a tie that then lights that body up, gives it a little bit more energy, like a refining of the oil that then, because we have a means to light that refined oil, can now access that power to power like a robot body or something like that for you.
Okay. So
Or even a barrel body. Whichever.
Let's say that I think Albus Tabber came here a week after Dex. So let's say Albus Tabber strolls in. He gets his rest. He gets his meal. His
Thank you about
first
the rest too. I forgot to click that button.
Oh yeah, good call. His
I
first.
just looked at my health and I was like, oh,
a little unhealthy. First hot meal in a few days. First bath in a few days, right? Orvis has plumbing. It's nice.
It's a real bath too, not like one of Alvis Tavern's magic baths.
Yeah. Once that is all settled, the hair is brushed, the ears are cleaned. Keen is not clean. She is still drippy because that's her normal state of being.
Probably slicks herself, something like that.
Right. I mean, even if she jumps in water, it's just like she gets out and then she's still just dripping.
Does Keen in crystal clean water look like what you would look like if you put like that hydrophilic stuff on your skin? Like does she shimmer in this the layer of non-water because water can't get in there?
Yeah, there's like a barrier. Anyway, she's up on your shoulder or wherever she needs to be as you get into Dex's workshop, and usually doors are closed but unlocked. So is Albus Taver a person who knocks?
No, Alvis Taver, especially with people that he really likes, especially Lucent or, any of the people he looks up to. He'll play a game where he'll try to enter in as quietly as possible and play a trick on them.
What's the trick today?
Well, today, especially with Decus, it's always going to have to be a magical trick because Decus and his awareness of magic and all that, this offers a peculiar challenge. And so, of course, this challenge is simply use the mage hand to steal Decus's pen upon entering his office without him noticing the pen's been taken. So instead of being super sneaky, the strategy this time is to be super loud in order to distract attention from me taking his pen.
Okay. Can you I guess in this case it would be a sleight of hand then?
That is a bad sleight of hand check for a +8.
Yeah, okay. So you may be familiar with Dex's familiar. She's a white cat named Alice. She either lives in the rafters or in his robe. And she roars and bites your mage hand.
I almost feel like it hurt me, but I know it didn't. So Albus Taver just, shakes it off a bit.
Yeah. So you do the thing, and Dex has a start, and he turns around and he says, "Oh, Elvis Stabber, hello, welcome back. Didn't know you were here already. Sorry, I've been buried in my work." And then the cat bites the hand, and then it's just like a glance over, like, "Oh, okay."
How? Hi, kitten.
No, it's okay. He pets her and he says, I know you don't bring Keen around here too often, but it's okay. She's good. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. I assume you would like to hear what I've found about these objects of yours.
But of course.
All right, come over here. He leads you
Kinda
to
like
a
push
desk
him
where he has 3 different jagged black faintly they kind of like faintly glow purple, pink. And if you dim the lights in here, it would be very very easy to notice, and Dex does precisely that. um and he has each laid out on a white sheet, and he says, first of all, fortunately for us, these things seem to be perfectly safe as long as you keep them at an arm's distance and on inert material. And
inert material.
Anything that's not humanoid flesh.
Oh, okay. For a second there, I thought like he was saying if you put this on something flammable, it might light. Or do medical bullshit.
Did try that, but the effects weren't too impressive. Anyway, here you go. He hands you a pair of what appear to be spectacles, except they're very thick, and the um, glass in front of the eyes, uh, you think would be enough to shield you from a sling bullet, perhaps.
Whoa. What
He
is
says
this?
he says wear those. You don't want to lose one, and slides down his own goggles, and he procures from uh the toolbox a set of tongs, and he says, uh for the sake of uh science, I did give one a poke, and you can see that his left fourth finger is currently bandaged up.
Yeah.
He
Does
says,
the damage was it the same as mine and I explained mine, or was it exponential given the person who touched it?
well, I only touched it for a moment, just to verify that it was consistent, but uh, I would say it was like touching a hot stove, except one that wanted to bite me instead of just cook my food.
Right.
So, right, don't do that. We have technology. We have these uh this piece of metal here that I can lift these up with, and that seems totally fine.
Likewise, especially for my use, I don't know if you or Smitty would be able to build it, but I've seen suspended glass or other material holders. Basically, you take a rigid material and sandwich it in between two things of glass or something else that's clear, just so we wouldn't be, just so that the sample item would be within the, the smashed glass or whatever material.
Ah, see what you mean. Well, in any case, a few things I wanted to go over with you first, if we're looking at these closely. Um, it is difficult for me to identify these like I might a regular piece of magic because they hurt me when I touch them. Um, and as you might be aware, the sort of divination that can give you insight into these sorts of things usually requires you to be in contact with the object uh, for a fairly long duration. I'd probably have to hold one in my hand for about a minute. Um, so that for now, not really an option. Um, but I did run through a few other tests that I was able to do um, without physically contacting. And he'll tell you about a few of them, and a few of them he would even um, demonstrate for you. Um, and simple stuff like dousing them in water, putting them in a flame, um, stuff like that.
What happens when you put them in a flame?
They do sort of catch like a candle wick, but they go out quickly when you remove it, and the flame turns purple. He says
Neat.
it's pretty neat, but seems to not really be doing anything.
Let's catch
Um,
quickly then.
and as far as I can tell, it's not actually burning. There's no smoke or anything. Um, now, of course, I had to try it, and he procures a slab of meat, just a small chunk, and puts it on the table, and he plops one of the objects on top of it, and pretty much immediately the thing rots completely through.
Grim.
That is pretty grim.
Sorry, there are no goggles for the nose, unless you wish to plug. But I imagine this would have much the same effect on a humanoid, but probably works a little bit faster on uh, meat because it's already dead. Um, so, if you were ever tempted to hold these things in your bare hand, maybe think twice about that.
Elvis never nods. Yeah.
Uh, now here's the thing. This one points to the one on the left. Was brought to us by Angela. She she actually woke up with it in her hand. Um, by her testimony after a circumstance where she passed out while investigating the if you recall, some time ago there were uh zombies roaming around the goblin lands.
Yeah,
Um,
that's creepy. It appeared to her in her hand.
she her from what she told me, what she was able to tell me, her memory of the events is very vague because one moment she was on her feet, the next she was waking up on the ground amidst the rest of the goblins she was with, and upon waking, this one was in her head. She did obviously there were some I guess we could call them burns. So but she did have the wherewithal to actually um bag it and bring it back to us.
What was she doing
Uh,
beforehand? Channeling any god?
Sorry, what was she doing before she passed out?
Yeah.
He was
According to
pursuing the necromancer harassing the goblins, right?
according to what she told me, she was
Yeah, but like, what was she doing?
simply surveying the area. She was not uh casting magic or anything of the sort.
Does she remember seeing anything before she passed out?
Not
In her surveys?
Naya's not here, but no.
Yeah, we're not actually.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Um so i- in any case, that was all I was able to glean from her, and it seems all she remembers at this point. Uh But admittedly, I thought little of it. I thought, well, perhaps we should keep this safe somewhere, and I put it in a box and put it up on a shelf, and did not look too deeply into it. Um, then, when we got to Orvis, you all found that floating a mass of trees and such, where this piece was located, and once that was removed, the pollution of the waters here went away. Um, I imagine that has much to do with the thing's necrotic properties. Um, but again, I didn't make the connection at first that these might be related. I mean, uh, looking at them side by side now, it seems kind of obvious, but I did much the same thing. Took it from your team and put it in a box. Keep it safe. Yes, I see typing.
Elvis Tapper / me just had an idea
Okay.
on how to power the machine with this thing as a focus, and also the other.
Now this third one, he explains. This was the one that you gave me. That you found in Nasharella's lair. I do not know what she or her brother were doing with it. You said you found it in a vault?
Yeah. Hidden underneath the throne. Sort of like the crown jewels.
And she and her brother made no real mention of
It was-
at all.
No.
No draconic taunts about how they have some kind of strange magic tool or anything. Perhaps they had no idea what it was either.
No. See, it was only a tertiary thought, but I didn't really think much of it because I don't know. But I figured if their dad is a dragon, right? Let's say maybe this is a bit of them that serves as a symbol of, their perceived power in the local area. Hence the reason it being hidden underneath the throne and stuff. One, I wouldn't want to talk about that if it really was a symbol of pride or, of my being able to command amongst a hierarchy that I honestly have no idea how it's run. But that could explain why they didn't say anything about it. Likewise, these other places where we found it, except for the necromancer, were or seem to be important places. They could have been dropped off or left. Then again, I have no idea.
Well, it's good thinking. Have you seen anything else similar to this? In your travels, I admit I get out and about far less than I'd perhaps like. Um, Not that I like hiking all that much, but um, I mean,
To the corrupting nature of this thing, or to like crown jewels being symbols of power.
oh no, the spiky objects specifically, the dark necrotic sort of.
Not exactly. I mean, I did. You did hear about the unicorn statue and the fog that was created.
That seems like probably a different phenomenon, unless the fog was particularly. Well, you did say it was violent.
Yeah,
Hmm.
sucked my blood. I don't have a lot of that.
No, not as much as me.
So I had a funny idea.
Okay.
So this thing can create rot, right?
Seems that way. Yes.
So I'm gonna need some smarter minds to think of a system. But there is something I do know, because see to get out of the mines, I had to teach myself a couple of things, that in order to elevate me amongst the other people down there. One of those things I learned just for pure love of the stuff is brewing. Fermentation, that takes heat and a form of rot, right?
Sure.
Say we built a body for Keen, right? That could use Keen and my focusing through the salamander heart as a heat. We could use one or some or whatever. I don't know if these things will be useful in the future to create a sort of form of rot. And I mean, rats love to gather and forage for things, so that behavior is already kind of ingrained into Keen. Forage for a fuel tank or something, and through the power of fermentation, do you think we could create a body for Keen?
Well, that sounds fairly gruesome.
Doesn't have to be. Some of my favorite foods are fermented.
I suppose that's true. Are you saying then that you would need some kind of tank full of food material to rot or ferment to run this body of yours?
This is where I would need your alchemical expertise and then Smitty's engineering expertise. The body, I'm sure he could make, but the separate chambers for things like that, like I only think in very bare basics. I know what a carboy is. I know you have to stick a little thingy at the very top of it, but I call it a thingy.
You know what?
I also know if you huff the gas that comes off of the thingy that you'll pass out.
Yeah, don't. That you shouldn't do that.
Don't worry, I learned that.
Okay. Especially if you're small, there's a smaller amount of air required to fill your lungs, so it becomes a problem faster. Anyway, going to say, do you think it would be a good idea to allow your familiar to investigate these um, closely? I don't know if it will necessarily be healthy, but she may if you're talking about using this as a focus, I suppose she'd have to interact with it eventually. And uh, I'll be honest, they seem a little cursed, but um,
That's why
I mean,
we should build an isolation thing for it. The ability
right.
for it to be used as a tool.
Listen,
But
I'm not going to tell you you can't use it. We use what we can out here. We just might need to be careful with this one.
Assuredly, yeah.
All right, so he'll step back and make way for you to hop up on the stool and maybe let Keen down your shoulder to the table.
I still have the salamander gland and the glove. Right, I don't have a glove for it yet. I don't have that.
Right. There was some I believe the requirement was something a powerful solvent.
Is that a salad glander?
What was that again?
I believe it was a powerful solvent that would be required to like clarify that gland into something usable.
Yes.
So that's still what's pending here.
Yeah.
But at this moment, do you give any commands to Keen?
So I'm looking at Keen, and I'm thinking of all like the fermented foods and stuff that I've had, or maybe I've tried to share. I'm trying to like think of how I would use this this fang in order to speed that up as sort of like a tool to focus the intent into, you know what I mean?
Okay. So she's just gonna kind of waddle over to one of those. I mean, you have a connection. She's smart, so like you can tell her like, hey, check these out, and she'll do it.
Huh. This dissolves things. It like rots them and burns them, right?
Uh, yes, it's mostly a vigorous necrotic energy that it exudes. I mean, look at the damn things; they glow.
Could that be used as a solvent?
I doubt it. You could corrupt a pot of water very easily, and um, from what we were able to tell, make it toxic to drink or even touch. Um, and actually, if I'm thinking back far enough, there was one point where we collected a lot of that polluted river water, and uh, some kind of terrible monster popped out of it. We disposed of it afterward to make sure that didn't happen anymore. Um, I imagine it had to do with the concentration of the stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'd be sooner to. I'm probably going to burn this rotten meat instead of just throw it in the river or something. I wouldn't want to leave it out and about.
I just feel like we could do something with that. We just need like viable intent.
Keen has now sniffed all three of the objects.
You think you can use those, little buddy? Sort through the rye?
She so right at this moment she is at the rightmost one that you collected yourself, and she reaches out a paw to touch it.
You want to do that?
I don't know. Are you gonna stop her?
I'm definitely going to tell her that that's going to hurt.
If that's all you say, then the paw makes contact, and immediately her entire leg is melded into the object.
What? She get like bigger?
No, like she melted onto the it's impossible to tell them apart anymore because they're the exact same color. And she squeaks, and there's a panic, and she like recoils and whips her leg away, and Dex just says, "Oh shit!" And because there is now a flailing artifact on the table.
Well, I go and I pick up.
And during the flailing, the artifact disconnects from your familiar.
I mean, but she's still here.
She seems fine, actually. Like after the event, that only lasted a couple seconds. Her oily arm is back where it was. There are bits of goo strewn about. The object skitters across the table after being flung, and it collides with one of the other ones, the one in the middle. And when they collide, well, now you should make a con save.
Oh, sad.
Dex can make a con save too.
Oh no.
I'm gonna use my inspiration.
All right. So yeah, just roll it again, I guess.
What?
Nice.
I was going to say that's not very inspired.
Sorry
No,
about that. There's a blinding flash that even with your goggles, you see stars for several seconds.
Oof.
Dex, however, was able to shield his eyes. And
Good word. I think I've gone blind.
well, don't worry, you'll be fine. Just blink a lot.
We're definitely gonna have to do that again.
So eventually your vision clears. And you see Keen sniffing what is now the leftmost piece and a singular seamless middle piece that is twice as large as it was previously, and in the shape of the two pieces that have been connected. And as you identified, with the one that you uh, obtained from Nasharawa's fort, um, the piece that you collected is like it's like the spiked end of a talon, right?
Yeah.
Like the tip. The piece that it has connected to is like the next 3 inches of that talon, curving upward. Not quite as sharp of a curve as a talon, more like a saber-toothed fang, really.
I'd look away if I were you.
Dex says, hold on. Perhaps we can do this without distressing your familiar.
She seems fine.
She looked kind of panicked to me.
I mean, if my arm melded into a magic item, I would be a little panicked too. But after you're already experiencing it once, the second time will be entirely less stressful.
like I said, we have technology here. He hands you a set of tongs, and he says, all right, we can do this, but I'll take this one and you take that one, and then we can see if they do the same thing."
Of course.
Okay. I
This
suppose
never makes a sound effect while we're
Close.
like putting them together.
Close your eyes when they make contact, I suppose.
Quite.
Okay. And again, there's a burst, and
I blast
When you-
myself
when you-
with another like 10,000 serverts.
When you open your eyes, Alvis Tower, you are holding what you think looks like a 3/4 of some kind of talon spike tooth sort of thing. It's smooth from the tip to the top until you get to the top where there is a jagged, shattered edge that seems uncharacteristic for this object.
There's probably remaining
Rather, the jagged edge is precisely like the jagged edges that have now become seamless with one another.
Yeah, suggesting there's another piece. Well, I need to collect more pieces of the dragon claw. Not ball. Claw.
Honestly, I got a little caught up, and I hope we didn't just make that thing thrice as deadly. But that's interesting.
I bet that's exactly what we did. It is is Maisie here?
Yes, she should be.
We should get Maisie here into the office. Have her see if she can identify this. I mean, it is only 2/3 or 4ths, 3/4.
Oh, you think it might belong to an animal? Actually,
Well, I mean, look at it.
I suppose.
We definitely don't want her touching it either.
Okay. 5 minutes later, there's a pixie in the workshop.
Only person smaller than me.
Yeah.
I've never been taller than anybody else in the room.
She says, "All right, what am I looking at, Dex?"
It's right here. Just don't touch it, or you might die.
Okay. Great. Can I get like how close is touching?
Contact.
Okay. Okay. So eyes are fine. Okay.
It did blind me at one point.
When does that happen?
When you touch it against a piece of itself. It was broken when we first found it.
She looks at Dex and he just says it's fine. It should be inert right now, just like he said, don't touch it. He thinks it might belong to some sort of creature, maybe.
Dragon?
She says, well,
Seriously, don't touch it.
it is kind of tooth shaped.
I was thinking talon.
I don't see that. Talons are. See, talons are sharper on the inside, right? So they've got to clutch the prey, and they come to they're kind of like hooks, almost like a fishing hook, or a very round scythe. They're made to hook into prey most of the time. This doesn't have any of that. If you yeah, I can't lift those tongs. Can you turn it over for me? Uh, she said, Look, it's round on all sides. It's like smooth mostly. And and the tip isn't as sharp as a talon would be. It's kind of, you see how it's a little rounded off there?
Yeah.
Like uh if I had this on a wolf or a big cat or a dragon, I guess. I you slam this down on something hard enough and it'd probably go through flesh. Um, but that's with biting power. Um, but do I think it's a tooth? Dragons don't usually have black necrotic teeth, do they?
I mean, what about black dragons?
Hmm. I don't. I don't think so. Most
And
dragon teeth
honestly,
I've seen are white, yellow.
and I gotta be frank with you, like though you guys are my seniors, you can tell me off here. Like in all the stories that I hear about dragons, I never hear about them like developing dental hygiene.
Hmm.
That says it's sort of a it's actually more of a diet thing, depends on uh how much you eat. They say back before we had farming, uh nobody had to brush their teeth or anything like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, she says I mean tooth maybe. That's I can't touch it. So that's really the best I can give you just looking at it. It's not from anything I recognize.
Oh well.
But we're out here in the zone, so what I recognize doesn't really mean too much. In a lot of cases,
Oh shucks. Does it at least look like it's made from a natural origin?
natural maybe. Alice Teffer, can you make a perception check right now?
Wow, I'm rolling well tonight.
He says, yeah, if I get real close to it, um, Dex, don't you have a magnifying glass? He, he says, yes, I do. Hang on 1 second. He, the next thing that happens is Dex is holding the magnifying glass, a few centimeters away from this, object while, the pixie is floating in front of the magnifying glass, staring it down at the very large version of the spike. And she says, yeah, look there. You can see there it's like groove lines running all down it, like top to bottom.
Striations.
So that doesn't really happen on a tooth. Maybe it's more like a horn
Oh.
or almost looks like wood grain.
I could see this being part of the dragon's crest. They have horned crests, right?
Yeah, yes, most dragons. Some have like big noses, but they're all usually the same stuff.
Ah, well. Well, then there's another question. Do you know of any animals that use fermentation as a means of energy?
Isn't that technically what most stomachs are?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Decus, my plan is brilliant. We need to bring Smitty here. It's going to be great.
I mean, it sounds like you just want to make a stomach out of this.
Well, the stomach would drive the body, of course.
Don't you need like blood and stuff for that? And would you
What?
would it have to eat every day?
Yeah, of course. Or at least as long as the fermentation process is going. It'd probably have a peak performance ability. Now that I'm thinking about it, just because of how those things go. Like there are a few days where it's just like going and bubbling when you're brewing some like real sugary stuff, but then sometimes it just peters off.
Meiji says, Alvis, I don't know what you're talking about, but
I want to build a robot body for my familiar using this and the power of fermentation, and I think you just nail it in.
do you just want a dog?
No,
Sorry.
have you seen Smitty's pet?
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
I want that, except with Keen, and he holds up Keen to Maisie's face. Wouldn't that be so adorable? Keen deserves something like this.
Keen, what do you think, sweetie?
Squeak.
Well, if she's okay with it, then I mean, do whatever you want. I'm just saying you could. Why not have two pets? You know.
Because then I would not be able to focus all of my attention and love upon this one.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, good point.
Not until the pet is able to make pets of its own will I then go on to another pet.
Uh, well, anyway, yeah, sorry I couldn't identify that for you, but that's a pretty weird thing.
Oh no, it's okay. You've been equally helpful. You've confirmed my idea is tenable in most biological creatures upon the planet.
Okay then.
I mean, you did say fermentation is what happens in most stomachs, right?
I think that's probably an oversimplification, but sort of.
Well, then that means fermentation is the perfect power source for my robot. Are we just gonna go with the word robot, OOC? Mechanoid?
Automaton.
Automaton?
Artifice.
I'm sure Alvis Taver has read paperback
Yes.
where some author concocted the idea, had to, didn't want to be so droll as to use the word automaton or golem. So, they had to come up with a new word for their cool fantasy thing, right?
I hear you.
And it's just like, oh, Mr. Wizard, what is that? It's like The Walking Dead.
Kind of lost me there.
You can't say automaton. in this fiction.
Right. No zombies, only walkers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's automatons in my storybook are called robots. It's a unique part of the world building and very meaningful to me personally. Um, okay, well, you now have this device, this 3/4 of a horn or spike.
Well, we have to continue. Like we have to do the same run of experiments that we did on them separately, but now on this bigger one. And then likewise, I want to ask Decus if he has some pliable material to make that separation the device that I talked about, so that I could carry it around a little bit easier. Separation device. What the hell am I talking? Like the divider or something? I don't know. Kind of like those things that you use in order to keep like a coin suspended in between like a piece of paper or plastic or.
Is there any
Is there any-
particular reason you'd be opposed to just like using a bag?
So that
Thus far, bags have worked.
so that I could put the thing inside of the bag and it could be a, I don't know, piece ready for use for Smitty. Because if it's already like suspended in a thing that can be held by Keen or something like that, then it doesn't have to be like in a bag. Then Keen can't handle it.
Right. Okay. So I mean, yeah. I mean, there are myriad ways you could fortify this thing.
Suspend it in resin.
Right.
Do we have that ability?
Resin.
Decus, could you suspend this in resin for me?
You might need to. I think Keen needs access to it, right?
Yeah, possibly. Like
So
we haven't experimented again with Keen
some
touch.
kind of open plan to this blueprint needs to happen, where it can be inside the robot body, right? But like inside the body, it needs to be open.
Can I have a
You might say.
can I have a jewelry box? Can you give me a jewelry box for this thing, Decus? One preferably small enough for Keen to hold it.
I don't know if I have a jewelry. The object itself, in fact, is now as long as Keen's body. By the way,
A little rat reliquary.
Also, Keen, do you want to handle that again? Like, you want to touch to see what happens?
you put it back on the table for her.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you reassure her that this one's going to be okay?
Well, I mean, last time was okay too. It was just a startling experience.
Sure. Okay. So she
You can be a little less startled now, and
Yeah.
see what happens.
she lifts up both front paws. She puts them both onto the spike at the same time. And then in about a blink, the front half of her body has become one with the spike, and you can't see that part of her body anymore. You just see her butt poking out of it. And then her head pokes out the other side, and she slurps directly through it.
Huh. Now, as if you were a slime, take in the horn as if it were you. You and the horn are one, but you and your form are stronger. You are the keen intellect behind the energy or whatnot that's forming that stuff that you guys are made out of.
Like legitimately, the keen intellect.
Okay, so
Alright,
you know how water droplets will smoosh together if they're on like a flat surface?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you try to introduce the spike to Keen's body, no matter which part of her body you put near the spike, it's like the surface tension of her body breaks and she gloops into the spike rather than it going inside her.
Huh.
So like if you like tap it on her forehead, her whole head will just shroom and like you'll just have a headless mouse attached to your spike. You can pull it away and she'll go back to normal.
Is there any like tension? Does it like bloop when you pull it away?
Yeah. She's 100% liquid.
Huh. Interesting.
She doesn't
yeah.
seem distressed by this though. Like
So-
after the first one, this seems like a fun game you two could play.
So yeah, no, I want some means, and I turn over to Decus. Some means like a resin cast, so that this can be suspended in the robot body, and then Keen can access it and then use it as a focus of energy when I use the salamander heart and turn her into fire. Because you've seen that. That was pretty cool. I just need a solvent in order to make that more useful in my hand, so I'm not burning myself.
You're
I mean, I
familiar
could
with
probably
very,
do it.
Oh, what?
I said I said I could probably do it right now, just to see what happens. It would just hurt a lot.
Right. You're familiar as extremely unorthodox, and I've never seen anything like it before. But far be it from me to stop the progression of magical knowledge. This is he's been
I kind of
testing
want to do
things.
that. Can I set the keen, the amalgamous object of keen, and the horn spike thing, and then deal myself a thing of damage in trying to focus on the fire and flame again?
Well, last time you did this, you did injure your hand for a fair duration. You know, it was a burn that took a couple weeks to heal.
Yeah.
If you want to do that again, you can.
But to progress the magical knowledge, to know that it can work. What do you do in this situation, Decus? Decus Senpai.
I look into that plan you have to make that salamander piece a little safer to use, probably.
Please tell me of natural solvents in the world so that my keen eye may see a gaze.
First thing that pops into my head is oozes. You ever run into one of those?
Is what?
Oozes?
Like a slime?
Yeah. Usually they're you don't get them out in the sun too often. Usually they're in the one time back in the capital we had a sewer problem with them, and you know there were a few down there. Think somebody thought it was a good idea to introduce them to clean up, and then they started multiplying. Anyway,
Is that where the black ooze tartar comes from?
I think that's just a creative naming process, actually.
I mean, my mentor was assured that it was made out of the living ooze.
Well, the thing about oozes is they dissolve just about everything.
Oh wow! It must have not been made. Oh wow! Okay. Where does one find ooze? I mean, we're in a canal city. Do you think there are oozes here?
If they're here, we haven't seen any.
Elvis
Yeah,
Tavern
that's
almost
a
looks around like the sink or somewhere.
that's a
This is
good question. You know, if you do happen across one, might be in your best interest to bring around a jar or something. They don't dissolve glass too easily.
well, yeah. I have a bunch of sample jars.
That'll probably work for you. I know. Back when we were living in Maracus, we had a couple reports of some people finding, bumping into some ooze-like creatures on the shoreline once or twice. But um,
We ran into some oozy stuff at one point.
did you? What are you thinking of?
The canals in that one city were full of like muck.
Oh yes, but that was muck, not oozes. The creature.
Yeah, yeah. I have a vague memory of some sort of oozy stuff.
That was in fact the results of the pollution caused by this spike specifically.
Was it
There you
that,
go.
or I was also thinking about all the nasty stuff the red slod left around
Right.
the base.
Oh yes, the green goo.
Yeah, that I washed ashore.
Yeah, that was all cleaned up. So
Sad.
perhaps if you could find another one. Um,
I'm not going and looking for a red slod. The other thing I would wonder is their acid normally like water soluble, or is it like an oily acid?
do you mean oozes or slod?
Oozes or slimes? Either one.
Yeah, it's usually a power. It's like, I mean, basically they're a giant digestive enzyme, right?
Hmm. Well, we'll have to be on the lookout. The fact that we haven't come across one is kind of spectacular, but maybe while we're traveling around, we should be on the lookout for anything that's been shifted to like a heart. I don't know if that would give us solve it two project a little. But I did request them quite a while ago. I think when we got the parts from Salamander. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, we can flash forward to the present again.
All right.
So Albus Tavern, that's what you've been doing for the past little while.
I've been looking for something stronger than ethanol.
Back to where we were. We're probably going to wrap up the session pretty soon. Um, but now that we're in the present, and Dex has his unicorn horn, and you all are taking a look at this. Albus Tavern has his 3/4 of a spike. Is there anything that wants to be done here by anybody?
Was the spying device planted so we could look at the volcano?
Yes, it was. That was done. That was done last week or the week before. Um, and so yeah, what you're able to learn. Um, Amber Green, is this something that would have interested you enough to volunteer to keep watch on it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So you definitely could have volunteered because the way this bug works is that it hooks into the obelisk communication network and uh basically works just like one of the regular video chats, except it's always on, and you can just see and hear what's on the other side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
um
So I would be
so
sitting there working on music, watching it, idly playing songs.
yeah, and you take shifts with some other expeditionists around just to make sure somebody has an eye on it at all times. But take a couple hours, chill out, grab a comfy chair, sit there, watch it, take any notes on if anything happens, or call over the brigadier if anything crazy goes on. But you've been keeping an eye on it for the past week or so. And honestly, so back to the world, I think would be a great time for this. Um, so I want you all to scroll down to that peninsula we've got at the south of the bay. Got eyes on it, everyone?
Yep.
I think I know what
do.
you're talking about. Yep.
So the plan was to put this device on the western shore, or the western peninsula, in order to look over toward the space where the volcano was located. Hopefully, be able to see that from there and monitor it for any signs of anything that seemed hostile or anything like that. Um, from very, very far away, unlikely to be discovered by anyone. Um, Good fortune has it that the device was not discovered. The team that went out there, the scouts, sort of set up like a small um a small scaffold for it, such that it could be pointed out over the ocean. Um, and uh, put it a couple 100 feet from the shoreline, so it's nice and safe. Nothing's gonna bother it. Um, and honestly, Amber Green, eighty
Yeah.
percent of the time you can't see shit. It's foggy, cloudy, rainy, whatever.
Yep.
Obviously, much of the time it is also red, uh, which doesn't help visibility. You're suddenly realizing now that you have an eye looking into a place that is actually in the redshift storm. It's kind of like, oh man, this shit's red as hell. I can't see a goddamn thing.
Right. It's like looking into soup.
Um, but on clear days, you've noticed that you can see all the way across the bay, and you can see the mountain line. You can sort of roughly see the shape of the coast a little bit on the horizon line, and you can off in the distance see um, this eruption going on. Um, it's pretty far away, like here to here, right, is 70
It's
miles.
not that far.
Yeah. Um, it's close enough that you could see it over the water, but it's hard to make out any details. Obviously, you can't tell if there's some kind of structure out there. What you can tell is that one, uh, there's definitely some lava event going on over there. Um, and anytime you get a good look at it, you can sort of see the slow meandering of the lava making contact with water, and you can tell this because the plumes of steam that will rise out and sort of obscure your vision even on a clear day, um, will happen pretty regularly. The other thing that you and the other expeditionists who are working shifts with you have been able to tell, um, is that you haven't seen a single living thing out there aside from the occasional seagull in your direct line of vision on your side of the beach. You haven't seen anything flying
Crazy.
around the volcano. You haven't seen anything like moving in or out of it. Nothing like that. It appears to be just kind of a stable, unchanging state of slow eruption.
Oh, crazy.
So you can use that information however you like with the rest of the party.
Any fish?
I'll write a song about it. It probably goes like smoke on the water.
That seems suspicious.
Fire through the skies?
Just saying.
All right. And I guess, were there any messages from home for me, or still been kind of quiet?
Yeah, not yet. Still pretty quiet on that front.
Okay.
These things take a while to get there and then a while to get back a lot of the time.
Right. Well,
Well,
I'm
I
just
can-
sending them with my my fancy book. It's just however long
Oh,
it takes
that's
them
right.
to
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to send it to the Empire, through the Empire, sorted through the Empire, sent to the Redshift zone, then finally to Orvis.
I've been waiting so long for my 3rd birthday present.
But yeah, that's that. A couple of other things that you're able to get intel on from the Brigadier while you're in town is that she has I guess if you guys went through Aris's tower, you would have seen this. But the fort around her tower has been getting built up a little bit. It's getting to be a little bit more than tents nowadays. She's obviously given her blessing for people to do whatever they want with that. The concept of kind of a watchtower over her tower is sort of being worked out. And as was noted while you guys were living there, plenty of lumber in the area. So that's being built, put together. There's a few more people living there now. So that's well in progress, and you've cleared the way for a few groups of scouts to move up as intended. Now, what the brigadier tells you is, she says, now the teams I sent out had to take some had to prioritize some things. I sent a group to Nasharala's lair and Chose first, and I plan to instruct the same group to head up to the that foggy town you all found next week to survey as an obelisk site. So we'll expect a report on that shortly. Hopefully, it's not been enveloped by fog again, but I think whatever you did should be hopefully enough to keep that away for now. Now, what information I have from Chose is that the good news is that there are no monsters in this city this time. Uh, Not that anybody was able to find. It seems well and truly empty.
Turns out the real monsters were ourselves the whole time.
If you make a new Redshift, maybe. The bad news of that, I think, is something you all noticed on your first trip there, but it seems the place has well and truly been fully looted. I imagine the siblings that we've made friends with recently are responsible for that. So a few bits and bobs that the team was able to pick up, but nothing substantial. No no real valuables, no sign of uh, humanoids, it's a real skeleton of a city at this point.
When we were there before, it looked like it hadn't been occupied in a very, very long time. So I don't know that it's worth giving credit to the siblings or to their family for having cleared it out.
Well, they were the only
Unless
ones
it
who've
was,
really been here.
many hundreds of years ago. Or 1,000 years ago.
Oh, perhaps, but still, I'd at least expect to have the team report that they found some silverware or something to that end. They did.
There was silver there?
No, there wasn't.
Oh, no silver.
So, not quite the same small bounty we found here in Orvis. But that's
if we had a means to cut into the glass, we could use that as a means of finance. Just ship pounds of glass to the
I have
Empire.
a diamond, but no, I think when we've got a free moment, Ben might be able to just blast through it with his eye.
How
Yeah,
thick
we did
did we
talk
think
about
it
that.
was? Several feet?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, several feet. And yeah, she says, well, I was under the impression that you and Dex were planning on what was it? Deleting this wall.
That was their plan.
It's a good plan.
I'm skeptical.
If you can get us the tiniest bit of what is that stuff? Adamantine. We can just put it on something big and heavy, and then on wheels, perhaps giant battering ram, and see if we can crack it. See if we can break it. Then run.
I'll see if I have a meteorite lying around. But
in fact, most likely what would happen is I wouldn't be pushing it. Everybody would just be able to hide straight into my my orb, my tiny house.
Yeah, but then wouldn't we just be buried under literal tons of glass?
Yep.
Well, we've got 8 hours to clear it out or find another way. Actually, I think it's 12 hours. Either way, I don't know. It might be useful to some extent what we're trying to do here.
Totally.
In any case, the same team who surveyed Chose and found it deserted, on their way back, they tell me that they bumped into some building a few miles out from Chose, westward of it. They did not enter, but it seemed a fairly large sort of complex, perhaps a mansion. They described it of some sort. That seems a potential point of interest, so I took note of it for you.
Right.
Thank you.
I like mansions.
Where's that?
The last mansion I raided, I got some gold coins.
Could you place that on the map?
Yeah, so the location that they found it, if you scroll up near Chose, was right here.
Oh,
Oh,
fantastic.
we were almost right there.
Yeah, you guys have
Interesting that we missed it.
walked around that area a few times. Again, 6 mile hexes are pretty big.
Yeah.
Uh, and Emily, I have some news I imagine you'll all be happy to hear. The team I sent to Notarella's lair, now that Dex has kindly removed all of the traps for us, we're not going to be using that lair as he has suggested, in our best interest to not be scryed upon. Um, and lest we find any other traps that either of you were able to find. But the team was able to retrieve a lot of the loot that you all listed. Um,
Oh, prying up all the gold?
and you are entitled to vast majority of that as the finders. So I have written down now this is for me, sir. Did you guys take anything out of there besides the two topaz that Albustabber took?
I did take one relatively small slag gold like chunk with me.
Okay. Right. I think we said that was like 100 G.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. So subtracting that from the total, and Albus, you took the two topaz eyes.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Giant topaz eyes.
So all of that added up. My notes here. Plus that statue of a unicorn that you found.
Wait, where? What? Where did I put that one again? Oh yeah, that. Oh, it was sent off to the guild.
Right. Yes. Most of this stuff we have already should be in Fort Maricus and will be on the way um, to the Empire for the the actual funding of the mission out here. Um, but for your benefit, that's a sum total of 15,400 marks.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
The I should tell you that there were a couple of dragon statues, all iron, but one of our appraisers said they were worth quite a bit, so they managed to lug them all the way back here. Um, so that's your share. If you'd like me to divide that by 6 for you, um,
15,000 divided by 6.
that's about 2,566 apiece.
Ah. So if that's the case, let's talk about some facility upgrades. How are we at with those?
Um, yeah, well, the next major fort upgrade is 7,400 away.
Well, why don't you go ahead and take that out of the 15,000 and then divvy up the rest?
Okay.
Unless there's any disagreements, I think that's a great idea.
Sure.
What level?
Not like I need money for anything.
What level will that get us to?
That gets us to level 6.
What's that? What's that do for our weapon?
That lets you buy weapons that cost 60 gold, but also lets you get armor that is AC 16.
Okay. And then what metals are available? Like there's I know we have silvered, but do we have any?
No, I think it's just silvered for now.
Okay.
The other one would be uh adamant weapons, which would be quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the amount to distribute?
So the actual amount to distribute is 8,000. So divided by 6 is about 1,333 per person.
Right on.
Wait. Let's see. Yeah, that
All
sounds
right.
about
So we
right.
should add that to our totals of marks.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
All right.
Um,
Oops.
So you said it
Oops.
was 1,333.
Correct. What's oops?
Oh, I clicked on tent by accident.
Oh. Oh, and there's one more thing. She withdraws a fairly large diamond from a drawer, and it says this was found among the loot. I know that this sort of thing is a useful spell component. So again, all yours. You want to hold on to it?
Thank you.
For me, thank you. No, I'm joking.
Well, which one of you can use this thing?
I usually
I definitely could use it.
I
Probably
actually
Nimbus.
use here a little.
Mercutio priced this at about 500 gold's worth, by the way.
Lovely. That's not my intent with it, though.
Oh, I'm aware. Like I said, I'm aware that these things are, depending on scale, very useful for certain spells.
This would be used for the resurrection spell, wouldn't it?
I think Evergreen's the one with that on his list.
Yeah, I don't know if it says in my thing.
It should. You got the levels.
I'm checking.
Yeah, but remember you don't have all the stuff loaded because it breaks the game.
No, it's in there.
Oh, that's the level 7 version. What about Revivify with
Revivify.
that's a 300 gold. Okay. Well, yeah, I think I'll be the one to hold on to it.
All right then.
I guess the one last thing I would, well, while we're here, actually, how much is it for the minor fort upgrade? Next to those,
1800.
1,800. Anybody want to throw in on that with me?
Sure.
Sure, I'll throw in a little.
All right.
Yeah, same.
All right, how are you guys gonna split that up?
I think
Throw
I'll just,
300 at you.
300 each.
300
Yeah, I was going to
apiece?
give you
Yeah.
300.
Guys,
All
see
right,
covered. Nice.
done.
Done as well.
Okay, that bumps the minor forts up to level 4.
nice. That's helpful.
Let me actually put some of this money on Aaron into the sheet as well. So it was 300 apiece, so I should be adding 1,033.
Yeah.
This character sheet lags when I try to edit the money. That's cool.
Yeah, weird.
And then the one last thing, I would bring the parts of those green slothy AP thing to Soriana to check out.
Ah, excellent. That was I believe that was a pelt and a couple other bits.
It was like a head, a pelt, a paw, and a foot, I think. What I would have grabbed. Try to keep them cold so they didn't funk too much.
Yeah. Well, she will thank you for them and
You know what it was?
tell you well it's not anything I recognize. But I can you know what I'll do is this Redshift, I'll take all this hair and some of these claws and maybe a tooth or two and um I'll see what I can make out of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I was mostly just wondering about what kind of creature it was. We saw a few of them. If their parts are useful, then file. Be on the lookout if we fight them again to bring some more of these remains back.
Has anybody seen the Hypno Rabbit? I want to kill that thing.
Not in a
Yeah,
while.
no idea what they are, but if I can turn them into potions, then I'll figure it out.
Good.
I know. It has been a while, but I got to keep checking up. You know,
Um,
I got a
And,
personal vendetta with that thing. I want it dead.
Brigadier says, sorry as I am to say it, Ron Tassel, nobody has spotted your red rabbit.
It's not red. It's white.
The white rabbit with red eyes. A lot of red eyes. Angry one.
It'll hypnotize.
How are we doing with getting the spider climb potion to Vanza?
Do we have spider climb potions? I don't think that we.
Thought we had that unlocked.
We have climbing potions, but not spider
Climbing.
climb. Yeah.
What's climbing versus spider climb?
Climbing just gives you a climbing speed, I believe. So still useful.
Oh yeah. Then
Um,
are we sending those out that way? Otherwise, I kind of want to make an order for ship out there.
yeah, that's already being done.
Okay.
For anybody who's kind of working heavily up in the mountains. Yeah, it's a I think it's a if I remember correctly, it's a 1 hour climbing speed of whatever your move speed is. So
How much are they a
good.
piece?
They are 25 marks a piece, and Soriana can make 3 of them at current level per week.
I want to put it in order in for 6, but I guess I'll get 3 now. 2 later.
Okay, yeah. They're 25 apiece. So if you want to pay her 75, um, she'll
Yeah.
have a batch of 3 done for you specifically. Um, by the time you set out next.
That's not 3 per person. That's 3 for everyone.
3 for everyone.
Here.
Yeah, you could just add the potions to your inventory.
Is it searchable here?
Potion of climbing, maybe.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's on.
So in the meantime, the brigadier asks, Dex has told me a bit about your unicorn plan. What do you all want to do in the meantime? What comes next?
Um, it's possible that we want to think about investigating the bay a little bit. Maybe not necessarily by the volcano, but yeah, the island. We could also venture back up north and check out that that mansion.
Right.
That sounds fun. I like that.
Feels like kind of a waste to come all the way here. Obviously, this exchange is very, very important, but just to kind of go all the way back up that way again. But at the same time, I don't think we're necessarily ready to venture too far on the water. I think the closer end that will probably be best. Depending on what we see there, we could either continue or just worth it.
Sounds like Expeditionist Rhode Isle did not explore that island too closely.
I don't whatsoever. All the sort of dangerous stuff we've seen, yeah, that's a good idea.
But wouldn't be anything bad about taking the time to check it out. It would at least put minds at ease if nothing's there.
Certainly.
Those feel like 2 good short-term goals. Since we're already down here, we may want to hit that island first, and then when we return, we can head north and investigate that mansion.
That sounds good to me. Obviously, since we're so uniquely equipped, move really fast. We should be able to explore a lot of the territory and get back pretty easily.
Okay then. So that's what we'll do next time. And I think that's a good place to call it for tonight.
Yeah,
Sweet.
sounds good. Thanks for hosting. Everyone, thanks for
Yes.
joining.
All right, good session,
welcome.
everybody.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next time
Good
we're getting
night,
on a
thank
boat,
you.
we'll play in 2 weeks from now.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Right on.
Cool. Talk
Plenty
to
of
you guys
time
then.
to make some fun content for it, huh?
I
Yeah.
will not be here for that weekend.
Okay.
Okay, good to
Going
know.
out of town. But
Yeah,
Cool.
sounds good.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, everybody else then.
Yep.
I have a fun vacation.
Totally.
Take care.
Absolutely. See you later.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
good night.
Good night.